Yeah, so I'm going to go to your original question, Zvi, about capital letters. First of all, I think what most people need to understand that a lot don't when they if they don't look into the original documents is that all Old Testament and most definitely all ancient New Testament documents are written in Greek in what's called uncials. Uncials are all capital letters. And if you've ever read a Greek manuscript such as the Codex Sinaiticus or anything like that, you're going to see three columns with capital Greek letters written in the words. There's no spaces, there's no periods, there's no nothing. So from a capital letter perspective, when you read in the beginning was the word and W's capitalized and so forth, those are purely interpretive, inserts by the translators, because the Greek manuscripts absolutely do not do that. Now you'll find Greek, like the Greek New Testament you just showed there, you'll find that today that has the Greek letters capitalized at the beginning, but the original manuscripts of the New Testament did not have that. That's not how they wrote Greek back in the day.
Right.
Now, having said that, John 1:1 in the Greek is very vitally important to understand. Um, as a whole, it reads en arche en halagos, which is in the beginning was the word. And then it says en halagos en proston theon, which means in the word was, and the word pros there is typically translated with, but it actually is more of a directional word. Like, you know how you say uh, proceed, right? Pros means toward, to or toward something, and then ton theon is the God. So, and the word was toward, or almost pointing towards, or moving in the direction of the God. Now, the third portion of that, which is John 1:1c, is what the scholars would say, is kai theos en halagos. And it's important because literally translated, it would say, and God was the word, if you translated it literally, which is different than every translation that you get and also confounds the purpose of it. But I wanted to go into this, and I'm going to show this book really quick because this is very important. This book is probably the most popular, or one of the most popular Greek grammars that's used in colleges and universities today, seminaries and so forth, when you're taking a New Testament Greek class. Bill Mounce, or William Mounce, great book. In chapter 6, he deals specifically, and I don't know if you guys can see that, but at the very bottom there, you see kai theos on halagos, where it says, and God was the word, or right there? Yeah, okay. Basically, his understanding, knowing Greek as he does, is that when the verb, in this case theos, or God, is thrown, it's swapped in position. It's thrown in front of the verb, which is en, which means was. In this case, it actually changes the quality. It changes the type of statement that is from a declarative statement, which is calling like, hey, that ball is red, or that building is tall. A declarative statement to a qualitative statement, which means that it takes a different word order in English to properly convey the message. So how one version actually puts it, and how Bill Mounce actually agrees with, is that it would be better to say, and what God, or Elohim, was, the word was. So where, as you can see, one identifies, and the word was God, the other one brings the qualities of one and associates it with the qualities of the other. So if Yah is holy and righteous and good and perfect, then his word is also holy, righteous, good, and perfect. Now, there's other parts when you continue through the first 5 verses that are actually very telling as to what this is referring to as well. And like I said, sometimes you have to go into the original languages to see these things.
And then what about when it gets to verse 14, and the word became flesh?
Right. And that's actually, so that actually ties back into a couple of verses in 2 and 3. And I'm going to pull it up really quick just because I want to make sure I have it right in front of me. But in verse 2, some translations will say he was in the beginning with God, right? And of course, You're originally going to think, well, what's he? But the word there, if you look at it there, Joseph, is utos. And utos is basically saying a way of saying this one or this. So it says this was in the beginning with Elohim. And now, interesting thing here, most versions in verse 3 will read, and all things were made through him. Without him was not anything made that has been made. Now, several ancient versions of the Bible pre-King James, such as the Geneva Bible and the Bishop's Bible, and I think the William Tyndale New Testament as well, translate that word him as it, which is another viable translation of what that word is. So think about it if I read it this way instead, the first 5 verses. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was toward the God. And what Elohim was, the Word was. The same was in the beginning with Elohim. All things were made through it, and without it was not anything made that has been made. In it was life, and the life was the light of men. And the light shines in the darkness, and the darkness apprehended it not. So there you have a message that's consistent with Genesis about all things being created through the Word, and then that Word became the life to men, and that Word is a light unto their path. That explains what you just brought up, Tzvi, about verse 14, is that same word that was used to speak everything else into creation was then also spoken to bring his Son into creation.